excited to have everyone finally here. I think this is everyone from my little notes cheat sheet over here. So welcome to 6600. Some of you are here listed under Education 6600, and some of you are listed under Psychology 6600. It's the same class, but you can register and have it on your transcript either way. It's totally cross-referenced. So this is meant to be your first graduate class in statistical foundations. This is not meant to be a standalone class for statistics. So anyone who's in a master's degree and having this be the end of the road statistics class for you, we probably ought to have a discussion, because this class is meant to dovetail and partner with the next class in the series, which is 7610. Again, Education 7610 or Psychology 7610. That's the regression modeling class. And they should ideally be taken together, hopefully in close proximity. And so if you're not in that scenario where you're not planning to take 7610, hang after class or send me an email and let's have a conversation, because that should not be happening, although I know it still does. Some advisors and some programs haven't totally got that cleared up yet. You could still take the class, but we want to talk about that first. So second item of business, you all should have taken the 6600 pretest and passed it with at least a 70% before you were allowed to register for this class. I have heard some rumblings of some people that have been able to register without taking that class. And that is a problem, because at the end of the week, you will be purged from the class, because they will go back and cross-reference again with that pretest class. And if you haven't passed that pretest, you will get dumped out of this class. So again, if you've not taken and passed that pretest, we need to have a conversation and make sure that does happen, so you don't think you're in the class and get dumped out of the class and have an issue there. So again, you don't need to raise your hand or make a big deal of it during class, but that's something we'll want to take care of as soon as possible in the next day or two. And I know there's one or two people that are still working on that, and that's fine. You have till the end of the week if you haven't yet, and we can deal with that. But I just wanted to make sure that that item of business came up very, very first of all. Okay. So most of you, I think, have gotten to our Canvas page, or else you wouldn't be here. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and hopefully that doesn't cause all kinds of issues. Okay, so far, so good. I have the Canvas class pulled up here, and I'm not going to go to student view. I'm going to keep it in teacher view, because I think that might have caused a problem with Zoom. I'm not sure, but I think that might have been an issue. So I've been putting together and tidying up our class Canvas page, and I got a couple of messages from you guys. The deadlines, if you looked at them before before a half hour ago, the deadlines were all wrong, and you might have been panicking, but the deadlines are all now correct on Canvas now. And they shouldn't be changing. They should be set where they should be. And we're going to go over that on the syllabus today. So I just want to start on our homepage just to go over this Zoom link. Obviously does not work. So in the future, we're going to use Zoom that's right under home to get into class. And this is the part I haven't been able to use before. I'm really excited to use this. So all of our class days are listed here. So you'll just come and click on the next one, and yours says join. Mine says delete. Yours will say join when we come to that. Right now, it automatically goes to the upcoming meetings tab. The next one over says previous meetings, and there's cloud recordings. This should be where you can come to watch or rewatch past classes. I'm not exactly sure how it's going to look, again, because I've never been able to get my Zoom and my Canvas to talk together. But this way will be a really nice place to house all of our class time recordings, so that if things went too fast, or you just, you're like, what were we saying? There was something about that in class, you can come back. Okay, good deal. And if you have technical difficulties and you get kicked out of Zoom, or your computer freaks out, there's a backup. All right, so I'll probably just take off this link right here. Okay, on our home landing page on Canvas, I have many links. And these pretty hexagon are actually links that take you outside of Canvas. This first one with my picture takes you to my personal website. The second one with the little box plots, that takes you to our course website. This third one with all the colors stacked is for the Encyclopedia. This will be a valuable resource for you working through the class. And the last one is to my YouTube page. I'm hoping, or I will be, I'm going to talk in the strong sense here, I will be recording some course content for you to watch outside of class so we can use class time more for active, engaged, more like a lab, a conversation in a lab. So the like, just sit back and listen to the lecture, I'll record beforehand, and then we can use class time for more homework time instead of the reverse where we come to class for lecture and then you go home and struggle with the homework. So I'm trying to flip the classroom some. So there will be recordings. I will have links everywhere for you, but if you want to go straight to my YouTube page, this hexagon is a link. I want to point out here, these are two of my favorite memes or comics or whatever for stats. So you know right off the bat, I get that you guys, most of you by and large, are not gung-ho statisticians. You don't have to raise your hand, but some of you have said things like you're rusty, it's not your strong point. In the past, I've had people say, I want to vomit thinking about taking this class. I get it. And I know that this is not your wheelhouse, most of you, and you've probably been putting off or dreading this class, and that's okay. I will take you as you come and mold you into researchers that can accomplish your statistical needs to get through your programs, to be able to read literature in your field, and to be a competent professional in all the different fields you guys are going to be going into and are already in. So a lot of times with hard classes or new content, we can get really discouraged. And grad school is a prime place to get discouraged. And I love this top comic or picture, this depiction of the learning curve. You'll notice that learning curve is not a straight line. Whenever we're learning something new, we're going to have hills and valleys in our learning. And you might think that you're right down here in the bottom left-hand corner. I know nothing. I have no experience. I put like no time into this area. And you're going to start working and you're going to be like, all right, I'm making some progress. And then someday, maybe sooner, maybe later, you're going to like fall down into one of these dips being like, what was I thinking? This is really hard. Or this is beyond me, or I don't want to do this, or this is, you know, you might want to feel like giving up, or you might just be struggling. If you persevere and keep putting that time on the x-axis and gaining that experience, you're going to climb up out of those dips. And I'm here to be a cheerleader and a guide to help you do that, because I know all of you guys are brilliant. You would not be in grad school if you were not brilliant and capable. So we're not here like in junior high math class to learn 2 times 3 and 5 times 7 and solve for X. We're here to learn how to be professionals in our field. And I'm here to help you gain those resources and fill your toolbox. And so I'm going to be here. If you need some rah, let me know, okay? I really know you can all be successful, but it might be a rough patch here and there. The other thing I want to point out is this bottom comment with all these circles. Imposter syndrome is really real. I know that in grad school, I suffered with this a lot. You think I only know this much and everyone knows so much more. And that's not true. We all have these bubbles of experience and knowledge and expertise, and nobody has all of the information and expertise. And you might see me as an instructor, like thinking, I know all of stats. Well, I can tell you, I have a PhD in statistics. I have been working as a statistician for 15, 18 years. I see new stuff every month, if not every week, that I have to look up and study. We're not trying to learn the entirety of statistics. We're trying to learn the foundation so we have the skills to customize what we need to do for the area we find ourselves in. So I'm here to help build your basic foundational building blocks. so you can do that. And so just want to give you that little gung-ho speech right off the bat that you can do this. It is going to be a lot of work. It's going to be a lot of time, but you can do this. I have taught this class now maybe 8 or 10 times to students just like you guys. And everyone who stuck it out has done really, really well. Okay, anyone have any questions before I bring up the old syllabus? All right, I will pull it up. So if you go to the Statistical Foundations tab, well, here's my website, and it has that Statistical Foundations tab. I also teach the multi-level modeling class. I run the Statistical Consulting Studio, and I've written this encyclopedia, and currently writing this encyclopedia that we're going to be using. So if we go to the Statistical Foundation tab, oh, I don't have this new syllabus link here, but it will be there. Let me pull it up out of the file, or I could pull it up on Canvas, either way. Syllabi, here we go. Here's our syllabus. Oh. Okay, if I ever start garbling my video or audio, or if I'm talking too fast, or I have lost you, or you can't read anything, would you guys please unmute and like interrupt me? This is one of the hardest things about teaching on Zoom is you guys all have your mics muted, which helps us be able to not have feedback, but I feel like I hope it's coming through. Yeah, I can't wait till we can get back in the classroom. I miss it so much. Okay, so again, our focus for this class, and I'm looking at my big screen up here, and you guys are down here on my little screen, the basic statistical techniques. We're going for basic foundation building blocks, which a lot of these things we're going to spend the bulk of our class on ANOVA methods, which I have a love-hate relationship with because they are really snazzy mathematics, but they're way oversimplified for 99% of what you're going to find yourself doing. But they are the foundation that we have to start with. So there's my little spill about ANOVA. Okay, for doing the things we're going to do, you do not want to do these things by hand. No one does. I don't. So we're going to use your computer. And we're going to use a computer program called R, like the letter of the alphabet, R. And we're going to be installing this. And this is the main homework I want you to do before we meet back together on Monday. And I'm going to upload a video for tomorrow that you can watch that'll walk you through installing 3 things. And we're going to go over, I'm going to show you where you can find all the links and stuff, so you don't have to memorize this. We're going to upload R Studio, and a form of tech or LaTeX. Now, these 3 things are all free to download. You can download and install them on every computer you think you might use. They're all in the computer lab on the bottom floor of the education building in the YETC computer lab if you need them, if you are on campus for any reason. But we are not going to be using SPSS, SAS, Stata. We're going to stay with R. And there's a lot of reasons for that I'll get into later. Anyone heard of R? Give me a thumbs up if you've heard of R for stats. Hey, anyone, new thumbs, anyone actually used R? Yeah, okay. I am going to proceed as if nobody knows what it is, okay? Pretend like you've never heard of it before. We're going to start from the foundation. And that's going to be our main focus at the end of today and then Monday. We're going to get your computers up and running because we're not doing any number crunching by hand if we can help it. We're doing just enough that we can trust the computer because I am a statistician. I love math, but I don't want to be adding and subtracting and multiplying hundreds of numbers by hand. My dyslexia makes that like impossible. Okay, so the prerequisites, you should have had or are currently having some research methods class. It used to have to be 65-70, but they've made other accommodations for every program. And like I said, you need to have the pre-test passed. And if you don't, talk to me so you don't get purged. Okay, so textbooks wise, Oh, here is Barry Cohen's Monster. I should have pulled this out before. This is our textbook. It's by Barry Cohen's. It's green. It's massive. It's explaining psychological statistics, but the same thing applies to lots of other fields. So even if you're not in psychology, this is a great reference doorstop to own. I highly, highly, highly suggest you buy this. However, you can access the digital copy free on the library's page, and I will show you how. I have the link on our Canvas page. So you can get this for free, but I think if more than, I don't even know how many, 3 people try to get on it at once, it'll bump you off. So it might not hurt to go ahead and order this copy. I mean, I can't tell you how much it is right now. Somewhere between $60 and $100, I think. That's a really big range, but you'll want to have access to this. Digital copy is good for some things. Hard copy is good for other things. I do have the first 2 or 3 chapters scanned, and I'll make sure that I link those really blatantly obvious in Canvas and announce it so that if you don't have it yet and you're ordering it, you can read through it. Okay, so this is our main textbook. We are going to do all but like 2 chapters in this whole book. We are going to cover a lot of ground. And we'll talk about this more. The second book you need to have in your arsenal, and really for all the disciplines that you guys are going in, maybe not the nutrition. Let's see, who's with Heidi One Green? Mechanic. This, I don't know if you guys use APA, but the rest of you are going to need to follow APA guidelines for almost every journal you have and for your dissertation and thesis. This book is new. This is the 7th edition. You need to have this in your bookcase. So I made this a required book. You can get it on Amazon. You can get it all over the place. We are going to use this as a reference a lot. Not so much for the citing responses, but they have a lot of information in here about doing tables, about figures, how to write your results section, how to quote numbers, how to write statistical reports, how many decimal places, it just abbreviations. It has a lot of good material that you're gonna want because you're gonna have to write at least a thesis or a dissertation. And I have not yet to find a good place online that has all of this information in one place. This is actually the best one I've seen out of, since I've been using APA for lots of years. This 7th edition is pretty good. They do have a version that has a spiral binding and it has tabs. It's my favorite, but it's up at the university in my office. My home one's just a paper bound. I don't care which one you get. Pages are the same. So the 2 books, okay? Those are the paper copies. The 3rd bullet on the required materials is the Encyclopedia. Now, this is an electronic website book that I've been writing, and that's one of the Canvas page hexagon links that we're going to look at in just a minute. Then there's those 3 pieces of software I talked about, R and R Studio, which are different things, and Tech. And again, they're free to download. I'm going to go over all that, but that's, your goal for Monday is to have all 3 of those installed and running. We will later on, about midway through the class, use a little tiny piece of software called G-Power. We'll download it then. It's free to get offline. It is pretty crucial you know how to use G-Power, because for any proposal you write for a thesis, a dissertation, a grant, a paper, you're going to need to run a power analysis. We'll talk about that in a month or 2. That will come down the road. The last thing you need is some kind of calculator. This does not have to be a fancy graphing calculator, but it could be if you have one. It cannot be your cell phone or anything that can send messages. So as long as it can add, subtract, multiply, divide, and has a square root key, you're pretty good. So most $5 calculators will get you by. And this is for taking the tests. So you can use this for the homework, I don't care. But for the tests, you can't use cell phone electronic device that can send and receive stuff. Okay. So your grade, right? Everybody wants to get out of here with knowledge and a passing grade, right? Hopefully an A. So there are 3 parts of your grade, and I've adjusted this a little bit over the years, and I think I like this pretty good. We will have tests, of course. We will have homework, of course, and then we're going to have, this is kind of the new thing I've worked in the last couple of years, we're going to do discussion posts in Canvas. I find that this has been really, really useful, especially when we're distance in Zoom and we can't have conversations as easily one-on-one before and after class. So discussion boards in Canvas are going to be part of your grade. So they're 30%, so just less than a third of your grade. These are due at 4 o'clock on purpose so that you have to read the material and watch the videos that I assign you before class. So that when you come to class, everyone's prepared to work on the assignment, to work problems out, to do lab type examples, and have more of a conversation. You guys can watch lectures and read without me holding your hand. So that, I want you to do that on your own, write a discussion post, and we'll go over those details. And then we'll do more of the active calculations and stuff, a big chunk of it in class. Okay, so that's maybe a little different than a lot of math classes you've had in the past. The homework comes mostly out of the textbook. However, I've typed it all into Canvas, into an option. It's called Atomic Assessment. And so with the assignments, they're all multi-part questions, of course. And so it's really nice. I'll show you, you can fill in your answers, and some of them are multiple choice, some of them are matching, some are put the number in. I give you the formulas you need to use, but here's the key. All of them have a check your answer button next to each question, and you can check your answer up to 3 times each. So there's no real good reason not to have an A on the homework. So there's no reason not to have an A on the discussion posts. You just basically have to do them before the deadline. Homework, you get to check all your answers. And so that leaves, those should really pad your grades. I mean, I'm not here to like come down on anyone with an axe of a grade. Really, I want you guys skilled so you can be successful. There are 6 exams. These exams are also done in Canvas through the Proctorio. It's not really an app, but whatever it is, with Canvas. So you can take the exams. They're all open for at least 2 or 3 days, and you can pick the time that you want to take the exam. Most of them, I try to make them last 20 to 30 minutes for most students, but I give you 2 hours to finish them in case you're having a bad day. But you get to pick the 2 hours that you take them over the course of that 2 or 3 days. You have to have a computer that has a strong internet signal, a webcam, which I see all you do, and it records your screen, your webcam, and your microphone. And it, like, I can watch it back, but it's supposed to like scan the room. You have to show your ID, like a driver's license or a school ID card to it and stuff. It worked. Anyone use Proctorio? Did most of you take the 6600 test on Proctorio? Yeah, pretty easy. So that's how the exams will be. So you are required to be on Zoom in class time unless you've let me know ahead of time, like if you have a conference, if we're going to do those things with COVID, I don't know. Let me know ahead of time if you can't make class, but you need to be on class. But everything else you do at your own pace. You can do at your own pace. You could do all the homework assignments this weekend if you wanted. They're all up. The tests don't open until that like 3-day window. But you could do all the reading, you could do all the summary discussion posting, you could do all the homework. So you can work ahead if you know you have other deadlines in your life coming up and you need to kind of work on this more today or put this off a day. And we'll look at the schedule in a second. I usually use the standard grading scale. Most people, I would say by and large, the bulk that make it to the end of this class get A's, because the homework, you can check your answers. The discussion boards are mostly just read the stuff ahead of time and get something written. And then the tests are usually, so even if you have C's on all the tests, you can pull an A out of this class. Any questions so far on these things? You guys can read every word if you want. It's on Canvas. I don't want to read every word. So, okay, this green section here. I'm kind of color coded because I am dyslexic and OCD. Great combination, really. And visual kinesthetic learner. So, yay. So, with a 3-credit class, oh, this is the summer one. I copied the summer one. This is not accurate. If this was a 7-week class, you would be expected 18 hours a week. This is not. We're on the 16-week semester, so no 18 hours. But you should be putting in a good, 6 to 8 hours a week on this class. There's going to be reading, there's going to be watching, there's going to be homework, there's going to be studying. Unless you are like a brilliant statistician, you're not going to just get away with coming to class only. Okay. I will have office hours. I will have review sessions. We have the discussion boards. I'm here to help you, but it is going to be a lot of work. But you'll get that strong foundation. You'll be able to go whichever direction you need to go after that. Lots of free advice and all the technical stuff. As we learned this morning, technology is great. I'm so glad we have technology so we can keep having class right now, but it will bite you in the butt if you procrastinate. Somehow the computers know when the deadline is coming and they misbehave more the closer that deadline gets. So I have put the deadlines very far apart. I've given you ample time to get things done, but because of that, it would be very easy to procrastinate. In the past, I've tried to keep the deadlines really tight, have a homework due at least once a week. And I like that better. But with everything going on with COVID, I don't feel like that's appropriate for me to do right now when we're not meeting in person. We're not on campus, all of us. But I really want to caution you to use your time wisely, plan ahead. Don't leave things to the last minute. Please, it'll snowball like crazy and your computer will crash and it will be a nightmare. So if you notice, the homeworks are due at like a minute before midnight. I did this because when you put 12 p.m., 12 a.m., it's always like, is that noon or midnight? They're due at midnight. I don't want anyone working on this at midnight, please. Computers misbehave at night. Don't do that to yourself. Get good sleep. So that brings us to the schedule, this nice, colorful schedule. This is my OCD, everything coming out in full force. So each of these colors is kind of like a unit, and they're not equally sized, but it's the best way I could divide it up. This is the way that the textbook divides up the chapters, and I played with the alignment. This is as good as any other alignment. So we're going to start here with this green section. It's just a lot of basic stuff. Everything in this green first unit should have been stuff you covered in your undergraduate statistics class, even if it was 30 years ago. I had a non-traditional path to my degree. I graduated with my bachelor's degree, never having had a statistics class. Maybe you did too, who knows? And even if you took it, it could have been a long time ago. So my goal with starting with these first chapters is to find out where everyone's at, make sure our technology is running smoothly, and to fill any gaps that you guys might have in this very foundational material. Hopefully, this first unit seems very basic. We're going to do things like rounding. What is it, a continuous or a discrete variable? Some of this stuff might be really easy for some of you, depending on how long it's been how much experience and how much time it's been. As we move into the chapters, this material will get deeper. So don't get lulled into a false sense of security. Usually people in my classes in the past, people have aced the first exam, no problem. The second one, they've done pretty good. And then they've like slacked off. And then around the third test, bomb. Oh yeah, this is like real studying needed. So don't let that be a pitfall. Don't get lulled, even though we might start with some easier stuff at the beginning. Okay, so all of the chapters in a unit, all of that homework is not due till the closing date of the exam. So the discussion posts are due before we cover that in class, But chapters 1, 2, 3, 4, none of that homework is due till February 13th. So you can put all this stuff off, or you can get started on it right now. Please don't get it. If you try to do all 4 units or chapters of homework in 2 days, it's not going to work out for you. I can promise. So I would try to stick to the schedule. You can turn things in early, or you can just have it done and wait to push the submit button until the end. But I wouldn't leave it all blank until the end. Okay, anyone have any questions about the syllabus? Let's see, I can't really get it all on the screen at once without making it tiny. That's too tiny, isn't it? Okay, so the only Monday or Wednesday we aren't going to meet till the end is President's Day. Other than that, it's every Monday and Wednesday. So quiet.
I've got a question, Sarah.
Yes, Jacqueline, thank you.
Sorry. So for next week on January 27th, the APA and R, is that an article located on the Canvas page? What is that?
No, this is stuff so that's why the intro and then that January 27th, those are a lighter green color, because those are things that are not in your text in the Barry Cohen textbook. So that's why I kind of made them a lighter color. That's going to be material that I'm going to present. So let me pull back to Canvas right now. Okay.
So is that true in the other weeks as well? The lighter colors are
not always. That's how I've kind of divided it mentally for myself. Okay. In the green, that's the case. In the others, all the other material other than the APA and the using R, all the other material should be in your textbook. I'm not going to supplement very much at all. Barry's book is actually pretty good. When I was hired here, my degree is in mathematics and statistics. Specialization is statistics. So I'm a pure statistician. I was hired over here in this, like, what, 6-7 years ago in the College of Ed. And I saw this book title. I'm like, psychological statistics. What in the heck? This must be a watered down crazy book. But I have been so pleasantly surprised with Barry Cohen's book. It's actually, compared to other stats books that I've read similar to it, it's very readable compared to others. I mean, there are some chapters that are a slog, but by and large, I haven't found a better book yet. And I've been at this for lots of years. So we're going to start off with talking about his book. So this is the little hexagon that has the 3 box plots. We're going to learn about box plots. We use these with ANOVA methods, which is what we're doing in this class. So this is our class logo. If we scroll down, these are the chapters of the encyclopedia that are going to be crucial, good resources for you to look at for the homework. And some links to the YouTube page. And then here is all the chapters we're going to cover. I have my PowerPoint slides. Now the stuff with APA is going to change for next week because this is the 5th edition. I'm updating it all to the 7th edition. They changed a lot for stats. So don't look at this, don't print the APA slides yet. You don't have to print any slides, but definitely don't do that one yet. Today we're going to look at the Cohen's textbook. It's very short, and this intro to R a little bit. And I'm going to show you how to download, because that's the one thing I need you to do before Monday is download and install these 3 pieces of software. But before we get into that, I'm going to go to Barry Cohen's book, kind of outline. So on the slides, I call this chapter 0. It's just orientation to the textbook. Okay, so here's our textbook. The way this is set up, it's a little different than most textbooks. Every chapter has a section A, B, and C. The first section A is very introductory, very light material about what the topic. Section B is more details about that material. And then exclusively, section C in this textbook is all about how to do it in SPSS. We're not using SPSS. That's why I wrote the encyclopedia. It shows you how to do it in R, which is how we're going to do it. I'm reviewing for a publisher a new book on regression. A guy I really like who does it in R, and we might switch to that book textbook eventually. But for right now, in this textbook, when you are supposed to read a chapter, read section A first, read section B, always skip section C. We are never going to worry about the section C's. I really want you to get that out of here. So I always get that question like 10 times in the first week. Ignore section C because it's all how to do it in SPSS. Okay. So this is basically the same thing we just looked at with the schedule, the chapters, how they're organized. The only ones we're skipping are the ones that are multiple linear regression, and because that's what the 7610 class goes into. So that's why we're skipping those chapters. Okay, so just like each chapter has a section A, B, and C, there are 3 appendices. The appendices are A, B, and C. Appendix A has the statistical tables to look up, the Z table, the T table, the chi-squared table. If you remember way back when in stats class, you had to look up all those numbers in those tables. That's where they are in this book. For tests, I will always give you, have scanned into the test, the part you need. Don't worry about memorizing these. Nobody does. Okay, but if you need to look them up for homework, that's where they are in the textbook. I also have some PDFs of them on Canvas too that we'll use. Section Appendix B in here has answers to the odd, some odd, some even questions, but you don't even need to worry about that because on the online homework, you can check your answers and it will tell you if you're right or not. And then section C goes into this data set that is called Eno's experiment. This data set is used in every chapter of the textbook as an example data set. Pretty much every chapter uses it for the homework as well as the explanation. So we're going to get really, really familiar with this data set, starting with this very first chapter next week. So the textbook says that Eno was an advanced PhD student that was TAing several stats sections and wanted to do some research. So she had 100 participants who were in these stats classes enroll in this experiment. Now, later on, you find out that this is fake data. But, you know, I don't know why if it's fake data, they didn't call it Smith. Maybe Barry Cohen did have a grad student called with the last name Eno. I don't know. But we're going to go use this data set throughout, and we're going to start with that next week. So I just wanted you to introduce it to you a little bit. Because of time, I'm not going to go into it a lot, but the whole data set is typed out in Appendix C here. You don't need to type it in. I have it in an Excel file, and we're going to use that. But if you're curious, it is in Appendix C. And the data dictionary that tells you what the variables are is in there too. And that's the first thing we're going to do next week is read that data into R and label it and prepare it so that we can use it for the rest of the semester. So that's going to be next Monday. Once we have R installed, we're going to read in Eno's data set and prepare that for use. And again, we're going to use that on every homework we do from here on out. Okay. Questions about the textbook and anything like that? Okay, let's go back to Canvas quickly. I wanted to show you in Canvas. If you go on Canvas to the modules tab, we have, here's the getting started module. These are like units. I have the discussion post 0 where you're supposed to introduce yourself. Discussion post 1 is about you. I want you to tell me how installing RStudio and Tech went for you. Some are on Windows, some are on Mac. Did you have problems? Was it pretty easy? What part did you get stuck on? And then here are links to those encyclopedias that we'll look at in a minute. I'm going to put some more APA material here when I get those updated in the next couple days. And then here's where we start into the chapters. I will add here links to the PDFs of the first few chapters here in case you need to read the PDFs because you don't have a book yet. And I thought on the home page I had a link to the textbook. On the homepage, our class homepage website, there is a link here for the textbook. The library has you have to log in with your USUA number and your strong password, but you can get it there. Let's see, what does Amazon have the book running for right now? Oh, rent $15. Buy used about $50. It's up to you what you do with your money, but I would say this is a great reference for having in your arsenal. If you have a lab mate you want to share it with, we've been using this for several years. Somebody you know might have it, but I would get access to it. All right. Okay, so we're going to go to the encyclopedia. Well, let me show you. If you click on.
I have a question.
Yes.
So I'm looking at the books, and when do we have to have the books? Because some of them are available to ship immediately. Some of them won't be in here until like the first or the second week in February.
I will have the first like 3 chapters available, and you can use that online one. It just might be awkward with the online one if you keep getting bumped off because too many people are using it. The library has like 3 or 4 copies of it, so only 3 or 4 people can look at it at a time. So there are ways to get away with not having a copy, but long-term it might be awkward. So you'll have to decide for yourself, how priority is it? Do you want to ship it faster? Or are you okay waiting? That's a personal decision. But I will definitely make the first 3 chapters PDFs available. So that'll give you at least a week or 2. So you should be okay for a week or 2 at the very least, unless you want to stretch it the whole time, which is personal. I'm okay with it. So this encyclopedia link takes you to this landing page. So these are materials I put together for a lot of classes I teach. And I found out I was trying to make a book for each class I taught. And I found out there's a lot of material that I reuse in every class, like how to install R, how to read your data in, how to create a new variable, how to make a scatter plot. So I made this encyclopedia so it's modular, so I can use different pieces of it for different classes I teach. So the very first one on software, which is actually volume 0, because it's like a preparatory thing, is what we're going to focus on for the last 15 minutes we have together today. And this is where you're going to find all the information for getting those 3 things installed on your computer. Now, if you click on this picture, and it will not take you anywhere. I'm going to change this. I think it's a little clunky. By the way, this website, as well as all the other websites, were written in R. It's that great. But at the top of this, it says volume links. If you click that, it gives you a more raw colored tiles. These are clickable to those links. So it's volume 0 we want to go to. And this one has all the information and links and instructions for installing R, RStudio, and Tech. Again, this is your primary homework between now and Monday. Okay, this is your homework. You can read the textbook if you want, but this is crucial. This is really crucial for Monday. So every one of the volumes of these encyclopedia has the same welcome chapter. It shows you what things look like. It's like, and Tyson was supposed to help me with this. He hasn't yet, but his name's still on it. Well, he's a good guy. He's going to help me eventually. So this is like the preparatory material, the welcome. But over here on the left side, we have the kind of like a table of contents. So right now there's 6 chapters: the overview, how to install the software and packages, what your working environment looks like, how to use a notebook workflow, and how to update every so often. So are you ready to see R? Dun, dun, dun. So R is a little confusing. The history, I'm not going to go into it a lot, has to do with a lot of computer languages. The early computer languages were named with a single letter. There was C and there was S. We now have C, C++, C prime, Java, HTML. There are lots of different computer languages out there. A primary one that was used for writing mathematical stuff was called S, and it was owned by Bell Labs, and it was not free. It was really expensive, actually. And educators, people in academia, are cheap, right? We're cheap. We don't get paid a lot. We're not a business. And so what happened is professors at Auckland University in New Zealand, and this is like before my time, pretty much, when I was an undergrad, or even before that, they got together and they decided to write a computer language like S, but for their own use, it would be free. And so they kind of like made a joke of it and they called it R because it wasn't S. I don't know why they chose R. I haven't found it. Anyway, they called it R. And so they wrote this computer language to run their personal statistics, just like 3 or 4 faculty members. And it grew from there. And so R, the letter R by itself refers to the computer programming language. We are going to install R first. This is very important. First, we install R. It is like the engine to the car. It's going to do all the work. But when you're driving your car down the street, do you touch your engine? No. How do you interact with the engine? Through a interface, through a cockpit with the steering wheel and a shifter, and you've got dials and gauges to help you out. That's what our studio is like. And be grateful for it. Back in my 15 years ago, when I first learned R, we didn't have our studio and the interface was awful. It was like, does anyone know DOS? Who's old as me? DOS, where you have a prompt and you have to type everything out. It predates Windows when you can click on things. Yeah, using R by itself is like using DOS to program versus our studio is like Windows. It like gives you an interface that makes it easier to engage. Our studio has come so far in the last 5 years. We now have autocomplete, spell check, color coding, great things. This is what makes it able for you guys to use R. R by itself is really a computer program nerd thing, but our studio makes it accessible for the masses, okay? So you definitely need both of those things. You can get away with just R, but I would not suggest it. I don't even try to do that. So our studio is like our dashboard. There's some video links in here if you want more information. I'm going to pass through a lot of this. We're going to use something called R Markdown that I'm going to talk about more on Monday, to knit files, which we'll talk about more in Monday. I want to get to the installation part because this is the part I need you to do. Got 10 minutes to cover how to install this stuff. And again, I just deleted, uninstalled this all from my computer this morning. And as soon as we get off today, I'm going to record myself doing it on my computer, and then I'll upload that and send an announcement saying that the video is ready for you to watch if you want to watch someone do it. Now, I have a Windows machine. Who has Windows? Sarah. Okay. Who has Mac? Okay. It's usually split 50-50. This software works equally well on Windows and Mac. There are some slight differences in the installation. I use Windows almost exclusively. My partner in crime, Tyson, uses Mac. So if you have any issues that I haven't seen on a Mac, which I've seen a lot, he can help us figure them out. There's always one computer that doesn't want to play the game, right? Hopefully it's not yours. Somebody's computer always gives us problems for a variety of reasons. It's something different every time. But to get R, so the very first thing we need is the R programming language. Okay, make this a little smaller. So R, because it was developed by faculty members and it became an international thing, there is this comprehensive R archival network. We call it CRAN for short, and it's free. It's a nonprofit organization. So their website is www.r-project.org. So this is where you're going to go to download R. In the process, you're going to have to choose a mirror. And this is kind of an old thing from computers, you know, us old folks, you know, that have a non-traditional path might remember the days of dial-up. Well, back in the day when you wanted to get software somewhere, if one server had it and everyone was trying to access it from the one server, that server would crash. You guys know about right now the server that's scheduling COVID vaccines is crashing like every day because too many people are accessing it, can't keep up. So to alleviate that, back in the dial-up days, and this is kind of perpetuated forward, different universities and other places would have a server that would have an identical copy of the software on it. So all of these servers across the world would have identical copies, and they were a mirror of the original software. So you can download it from any mirror you want. It was advantageous back in the day to choose one that was geographically close to you because we were using dial-up phone lines. Nowadays, it's not as crucial, but it will go a little faster. So we have to select a location near. We're going to get base R. Windows or Mac, it doesn't matter. We want base R. It's just the skeleton. You're going to download it. You're going to let it run. You're going to let it do all the defaults. Okay. Again, I'm going to record this for you, but this is what it basically looks like. At least every semester I try to update this because websites look a little different every year. So you're going to click where it says download R. You're going to choose a location. It has lots of different countries. I usually go down to the USA and I'll choose Berkeley or UCLA or somewhere kind of close to me. It's not totally crucial that you measure the miles, but I would avoid Australia or South Africa. And then, yeah.
Just really quickly, I have a Mac, and this is the second time because my research group uses R, and the closest that I've been able to find for Mac options is the one in Oregon.
Yeah, and that's fine too. Yeah. Yeah.
I wish there was something closer, but
if it's stateside, you're probably good. Even if it was Florida, you're probably good. Yeah. If you have R installed on your computer already, I would still do this because they put out a new version of R at least twice a year. And as packages update, if you have an outdated R, you might have some problems with the stuff we're doing in class. I always delete and reinstall at the start of every semester with all my students. And that's a good time for me to always remember, oh, I need to update because it's the start of a semester. If nothing's broken, you can use an old version, but things tend to break if you get like back too many versions. Okay, so you'll pick a mirror somewhere close-ish, and then you'll have the option to pick if you're a Mac, Windows, or they have Linux too, if anyone's Linux. I've never had a Linux student in this class, but you can. For Windows, then you click is different. This is where once you choose whether you're Mac or Windows, it looks a little different. For Windows, you click where it says base. It will look like this screen with the number 4. If you have a Mac, you have to go down to the bottom and I think we're at R4 dash, I don't know, we're at version 4. This, when I did the screenshot, it was version 3. We've bumped up to version 4, I believe. So it looks a little different at that point. But you just follow all the default setting to get R. It usually only takes not even a whole minute to download and then not even a whole minute to install. It's very quick. If we had 5 more minutes, I would show you live. It's very quick. Now, when you get a new cell phone, it comes with an operating system that has some apps in it. But what's the first thing you do when you get a new phone?
You download apps.
You go to the App Store and you download more apps. Even if it comes with an email app, you might want a different email app. So that's kind of how R works. Base R is like your operating system, your bare bones that comes with the bare bones app. Like back in the day when Apple first started, you came with like 4 apps. You could do some stuff, but not very much. Nowadays, it comes with all the bloatware. You get a lot of apps. But R is very nimble. When you download base R, it's just the bare bones. We're going to go get, instead of calling them apps, we call them packages. And we'll do that together on Monday. But right now, you're just getting the bare bones, like a new cell phone, just the operating systems and some very few apps or packages. We'll go get what we need more on Monday. Okay, so that's all there is to downloading R. Should be fairly quick. RStudio is almost as quick. Now, RStudio is a private company, but they offer RStudio for free for the desktop version. If you want the server version or corporate version, that's more money. But we're doing the free desktop version. And I will update these screenshots. It's going to look something like when you go to rstudio.com, something like this. And at the top, there'll be the word download. You click that and you click download again because it like sends you down the page. And then you have to choose again whether you're Windows or Mac. It's very similar type of thing. You're going to download the file, and depending if you're on Windows or Mac, there's a different installation process. You just follow the directions. Just follow the directions. Let it do the default. Don't change the defaults. Don't, or else your computer will be the problem. Let it install the files where it wants to put them. If you change any of the locations, it will screw it up and we'll have to delete it and start all over again. I know, because we've tried that. It doesn't work. Okay, so those two things will be very quick for you to install. Literally, you can get those two done in 5 minutes, probably. Very quick. This last one is longer, especially if you're Windows. And this is something I can't do in class because it takes sometimes an hour, depending on your internet speed. Okay, so what we're going to do on Monday requires that in addition to R in our studio, you have to have a version of Tech. Tech, or sometimes it's called Latex, is a typesetting program. It's how every journal, every magazine, every textbook pretty much you ever have had, probably most novels you've bought, is typeset. So it has consistent margins and headings. And how do they always have everything the same throughout the whole textbook? All the sections and subsection headings and all that, whatever the format is, it's consistent. That's done with this programming called LaTeX. You do not have to learn it. It's like R, we're going to install it. It's like putting a turbo booster on R. We're going to install it and ignore it, but it has to be installed. And for Windows, the reason it's so laboriously slow, I mean, get a bowl of popcorn to sit and watch it go, watch your favorite show on the TV next to it, is because it's downloading a lot of files. You cannot get away with the base version right now. They're trying to work on a package called Tidy Text, but it's not ready yet. So I'm going to do Mac first because Mac's quickest. So for Mac, you need a version that's called Mac Tech. And this is the website you go to. It's the tug.org, Mac Tech. The site looks like this. You're going to click Download Mac Tech and follow the directions. Follow the directions. I think last time I did with this with someone, I think the Mac took about 20-ish minutes. We were on campus, though. It totally depends on your internet speed. R and R Studio are quick. This is slow. Windows is very slow. So Windows, you need Mic Tech. Now this is one, if you've downloaded it before, you might get away without reinstalling it. R and R Studio, reinstall. This one, you might be okay. Really complicated bit of programming that we don't even want to talk about. So you go to mittech.org if you're a Windows user and you click, this is very important. You have to click all downloads. If you click the Windows button, it will just give you the basic version and it will not work. So follow my arrows, click on all downloads, net installer, and then download. Do not do the basics. I think I said it right here. Pick the latest version with the net installer, not the basic, exclamation mark. And you want the 64-bit version. I think it has an option of over here on the side, I'll say 32 or 64. Get the 64-bit version. Almost all your computers in this day and age are 64-bit machines. I don't think anyone has a 32-bit machine anymore. They're old news. And I think that if you try and it can't, it will give you a warning. So just go for the 64-bit. This is showing this 32, but go for the 64-bit download. Now, this is the slow part. When you do that, it's going to bring up an installation box and it's going to talk about downloading and installing. You have to download all the files, and that can be like an hour depending on your internet. And then you have to go back into it and install all those files, and it will take almost the same amount of time. You have till Monday to get this done. It's going to take a chunk of time. The good thing is you don't have to babysit it that much. I mean, sometimes you have to click next and okay and sure, do whatever you want. Let me say one thing. There is one default you need to change here. Are my Windows users all paying attention? I'm going to put this in big red letters on here when I update it. There is one point in the Mic Tech install that there's one option you need to change. And I'll put a little screenshot of it on here. It asks something about installing packages. And it'll have the options. One of the options is Ask Me. I think the default is Ask Me. If you want to install packages on the fly, you don't want to be asked about that. You want it to just get what it needs. So the options, and again, I'll screenshot it. It's like Ask Me or just do it. And you want to change it to where it says it will just do it. So don't leave that on Ask Me. I know that's the one thing. Again, I'll get you a screenshot if I can today. That's the only kind of hiccup you have to watch for in this installation process, okay? So I'll get you blatant links on Canvas in an announcement. I'll get you an uploaded video walkthrough for tomorrow. I'll get it recorded. It usually takes me a while to record it, and then it has to process, and then I have to upload it. So it can take a couple hours for me to get one of those videos up on YouTube, but I'll get that up and I'll link it on Canvas. So everything will be on Canvas. I'll always send out announcements on Canvas. So if you didn't get any of the announcements yet from Canvas, you'll want to get into Canvas and set up the alerts so it will send you the announcements either to your phone or your watch or your email or however you can get them. Because I'm going to use Canvas a ton. That's how I'm going to communicate with you, okay? If you ever want to get my attention fast, don't use the Canvas Messenger. Use my email address. It's at the top of the syllabus. It's sarah.schwartz@usu.edu. That's the best way to grab my attention because it comes through my phone to my watch and it's right there on my wrist, okay? The Canvas, like messaging inside of Canvas, does not send me an alert. I can't find out. It just won't. I've tried all different things. Okay, so our official time is up. I stole 3 minutes from you today. I'm sorry, I apologize. Technical difficulties at the beginning, that'll be my thing. I will try to always be on our Zoom call a half hour early, and I will try to always stay a half hour late. So if anyone has any questions, I'll stick around. You can ask your questions about anything we've talked about or anything else stats or grad school related. And if not, I will send you announcements and see you live on Zoom on Monday.
Are the dates updated yet?
All the dates are updated. Yes, they are
Okay.
now up. And like I say, the dates are very